You gonna wave to the guys? Happiness cannot buy money. It is our final morning at the beach. We fly out later today, home to beautiful Canada. It's been 4 months, and we've spent the last day and a half here at the Grand Hotel. And yesterday was an entire beach day. Did you have fun at the beach yesterday, Emery? Daddy did a lot of reading and a lot of napping under an umbrella. It's beautiful out here today. So I'll be back in a few minutes. I'm just going right here, okay? Yes, you can. So I have to give credit where credit is due for that quote to badass millionaire Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, Shark Tank and Dragon's Den fame. Mr. Wonderful has been quoted as saying, "Happiness can't buy money." And I love that quote. Happiness is interesting because it's a personal thing, and it's something that a lot of the pretend experts talk about, especially the online gurus, the wet behind the ears coaches and consultants who play a certain game but certainly live a different one. But happiness to me has always been about personal choice. And for me, happiness has always been connected to freedom. The more free I've been, the happier I've been as a man, as a husband, as a father, as a business owner, as a community leader. My happiness is definitely connected to one of my top values, which is freedom. And for me, and I agree with Kevin O'Leary, it's never been about the money, the physical money, saying, okay, you make so much per day, or this job pays you this much, or your consulting hour is worth this much, or the barber shop makes this much, or the insurance agency makes this much, or doesn't make this much. It's always been for me that money equals freedom. And you'll hear a lot of nonsense spewed, especially on the internet, about, well, money can't buy happiness. And that is nonsense. That is being sold fantasy as reality by people who are dead broke. I've never met a person in my life, okay, who has had money and not have money and been happier without money. In fact, I go as far as saying money is the root of all good. And you have so many people, the 99%, living a life of quiet desperation, teaching and preaching the exact opposite. But that's because they do not have any money, and therefore they don't have any freedom. So, there's people say, well, I wouldn't want all the pressure that comes with money. I wouldn't want the pressure of a successful business. And that's called burying yourself in bullshit. I've been broke, and I have also now been in a safe harbor position where I work when I want to work. I love my work. I have a passion for coaching and consulting. I have a passion for sports. I have a passion for family. And money for me has been about one word: freedom. And money to me means peace of mind, it means autonomy, and it means those two words that I talk about every day: personal sovereignty. We can't be where we want to be, doing the things we want to do, at the price we want to do them, with the people that we want to do them with, if you're not in a safe harbor position. So to me, money is a few things. It's the scoreboard, especially after you're in a safe harbor position. Money is still always important. It's the scoreboard even when you're in a safe harbor position. It's the insurance agent who has a $10 million business, but then drives themselves every day to make that a $20 million business. That's the game. That's the fun. But money equals freedom. And, you know, I don't care if you're a miserable SOB. If you've got money, if you're in a safe harbor position, I don't care if you're the most miserable SOB on planet Earth. You're going to be in a better spot with money than without money. And that's just a fact. For me, it's the freedom to make choices. It's the freedom, you know, I use the example of us picking up 4 months ago when we were unhappy with our environment in Canada. We're very unhappy with the energy, the schools being closed and opened, the restrictions, the lockdowns, the sports facilities being closed. I just, from a mental standpoint, I hated the entire energy and the environment. So we picked up in 21 days and moved 4,000 miles to a place we had never been before, rented a home near the beach with a pool. I moved my 3 companies here, which I run each day from my laptop by the pool. My wife was able to do all of her community and charitable work here, finish her courses, and my daughter was enrolled in school in like 5 days. And we literally built a life here for the last 4 months. Can you do that without money? Yes, you can. Is it a lot more difficult? Yes, it is. Impossible? No, but difficult. Money to me equals freedom. And it's always the scoreboard. But it's so important that you don't buy into that advice, that pretend expert advice. I call it fantasy sold as reality. Broke people giving you advice about wealth, money, peace of mind, and, you know, just relax and go with the flow and all this other stuff that's dispensed by broke people. I remember the greatest thing my dad ever did in terms of getting me a job, because I was an entrepreneur all through high school and also through university. But one time after I sold my window washing business in high school, I needed some money to go to spring break in Fort Lauderdale. And I remember walking into my dad's insurance agency after school one day and I said, "Dad, is there any way you could lend me $800? It was $800 to go on a bus from Fort Lauderdale all the way and back, and the whole week, the drinks, the motel, the hotel, whatever it was. But I wanted to go to spring break in my last year of high school." So my dad, being the guy he is, said, no. He said, "I'm not going to lend you the money. What I'm going to do is I'm going to help you find a job to pay for it in advance." He said, "You never, ever, ever go in debt for vacations. You never take on debt for things like that." So I said, "Well, that's great. I'm always willing to work." So my dad gets me a job at the Brown Shoe factory warehouse. Not the actual factory, the warehouse. So this is the toilet of all factories. It's now closed in our community. It's the place where guys who can't work anywhere else, guys like me at the time, work. And you work 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. The factory was open 50 weeks a year, and they actually shut down for 2 weeks in July. That's the way the old factories worked. We had a textile factory, we had a silver plant, we had this Brown Shoe warehouse. So my dad got me a job there, and I was pretty excited. I'm like, "Thanks very much, and I'll work as much as I can." But what I couldn't believe was the first day I got there, and all I'm doing is packing up boxes of shoes. They come down on the rollers, and I put 8 pair of shoes into a cardboard box, and all I did then was seal it with tape, and then the next one. So 8, the shoes come down the box, boom, 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 seal it, next one. And I did that for 10 hours a day, and I did it on Saturdays because I was looking to make extra money. And I'm telling you, after the first, 20 minutes of doing that job, I was like mentally checked out. I was in shock. I was like, is this what somebody does 5 days a week for 40, 50 hours a week? And it was shocking and eye-opening and good for me because, it was crazy. On Friday nights, we'd be working there till 5 o'clock. And, the guys are carrying lunch pails and we're in there, and they used to make fun of us because I was one of the high school students. And they used to say, this is just the start of your career. Wait till you put in 40 years here. And I remember that scaring the shit out of me because these guys were hard. I mean, they were hard, salt of the earth people. Most of them were men, and they just put in the time. They put in the 8 or 10 hours a day. They brought their lunch in their lunch pail. They had their half hour, their smoke breaks, their coffee breaks. And when that whistle, there was a whistle, like a whoo at lunch, and then a whoo. It was like the Flintstones. I was like scared shitless. And then, starting time, lunch time, break time, and then quitting time. And most of them didn't have a vehicle, and they would walk home wherever they lived in our community, day after day, month after month, year after year, decade after decade. And then they'd get 2 weeks off in the summer because the entire plant would shut down for 2 weeks. And I remember talking to my dad later on in years and thanking him for that experience. At the time, I wasn't grateful at all. I thought it was like a hell on earth. I remember on Friday nights, we had a handful of guys that worked at the warehouse who actually were doing time on the weekends. And we had a minimum security jail in our community. And a couple or 3 of these guys would go to jail on Friday nights because they were doing weekends for small things like, DWIs, drinking and driving, small break-ins, selling, pot, whatever the hell they were doing. And I remember them like, yeah, I'm off to jail, Michael. I'm off to jail. I get out Monday and back to work. So they had been sentenced to do weekends because they were small-time guys. And secondly, because the judge didn't want them to lose their job. And the whole thing was just an eye-opener to me about how in the hell can you be happy? How can you have any peace of mind? How can you have any independence or control? How can you have any personal sovereignty when you're trading your entire life, all your time for dollars? The second you're not grinding, this is the second you're not getting paid. So I traded time for dollars for years. That was part of it. I mean, I did it in the hockey business. I did it in the window washing business. I did it in all the different things I worked at. But I'll never forget that, getting that in my mind in that factory. Trading, the sooner the better I could stop trading time for dollars, I could be free. And the fact that I hated that job with a passion was exactly the response my dad was looking for. He still laughs about that story. He's like, how'd you like that job I got you? I mean, he could have got me a job in the back of the agency, and I could have come in with my pretend shirt and tie on, the owner's son. And my dad was like, fuck that. Go work in that factory. My dad was a truck driver when he was 15 years old. He called it loading hundreds of sugar. And he used to deliver, as soon as he got his driver's license when he was 16 or 17, he was driving a truck every single day. He was long done school. He quit school in grade 9. And he called them hundreds of sugar. And all day he would deliver and these hundreds of sugar, bags of 100 pounds of sugar to all the restaurants, all the bakeries in town. He would go home, he would have lunch, he'd lie down for 20 minutes, and then he'd deliver hundreds of sugar all afternoon. So my dad knew the power of a job like this, like opening it up and seeing, how some people live their life and how hard it can be if you're not free. And if you don't find a way to make money when you sleep. That's what Warren Buffett said. You'll never, ever be in a safe harbor position. You'll never, ever be independent or free unless you somehow find a way to make money when you sleep. And, that's what the coaching business is. That's what the continuity business is. That's what the insurance business has been for me. Making money whether you're working or not working. And I love to work. I love to work on my stuff 7 days a week. But the thing is, if I'm not grinding, I'm still bringing in money. So very, very, very important. My window washing business that I had in the town for a couple of years in high school, that was all about freedom. That was all about not wanting to work at Subway or McDonald's or Wendy's where my buddies were working. And instead, I started up this window washing company with an employee. And all I had to do was sell every single day. I was the guy that walked in and said, that's $5, that's $10. We washed the windows every single day. And I was the guy who walked in with the pad, with the sketch pad and all that stuff with the carbon paper underneath it. And anybody that I didn't have as a client on the main streets in our community, every week I asked them again, are you sure you don't want your windows done? Are you sure you don't want your windows done? And by the end of a few months, I literally had 80, maybe 85% of all the businesses in our community. And those were $600, $700, $800 weeks for me, cash, with one employee. So I didn't have to work at Wendy's. I didn't have to work at Subway. I didn't have to, work in a restaurant. But damn it, that was all about freedom for me. I love the money. That was all the money in the world. But I was motivated because I didn't want to work in Subway. And I, in the back of my mind, I still had that, it's all about freedom. It's absolutely all about freedom. The hockey camps I ran when I was in university in the summer, I'd run hockey schools, tennis camps, I coached tennis. I was a tennis pro part-time for a while. And all that was about freedom. It was about not wanting to have a regular job where I traded time for dollars. And even in those businesses, I was still trading time for dollars. I was charging like $95 an hour for tennis, but I hated it. Like, I love coaching hockey, but I hate coaching tennis. And I was trading, my hour for that $95, which seemed a lot at the time. But if you don't like something, if you dread something, it's still trading time for dollars. So at the end of the day, I don't care what anybody says. You'll never, ever be personally happy unless you do two things. And I've learned this over 30 years in the trenches, 31 years as a business owner, entrepreneur, 22 years coaching pro and amateur hockey. I've worked with a lot of people. I've worked with a lot of men, unhappy men, happy men, people with good marriages, bad marriages, good relationships with their kids, bad relationships with their kids, you name it. And there's two things that I've found that it does not matter. You're never going to be happy unless you are accomplishing these two things. And all of my world builders would agree, the program I just finished, the 8-week sprint we just did. Number one, if you're not improving, if you're not growing as a man, if you're not growing every single day in areas of your life, your marriage, your relationship with your kids, your physical health, your mental health, your marketing, your business, your time, if you're not getting 0.01% better every day, and I don't care what it is, you're never going to be happy. You're never going to be happy. And how do we get better? You get better by reading books, by listening to podcasts, and by hanging around great people and introducing good habits into your life and getting rid and curating all negative things in your life, whether it's social media, the news, politics, bad people, negative friends, toxic social media, whatever it is. But unless you're committed to what I call CANI, C-A-N-I, CANI, constant and never-ending improvement, you can never, ever have sustained happiness. So that's number one. If you're growing, you're going to be happy. If you're growing, you're going to be happy. Not going to be jumping around. I'm talking about fake happiness and all this horse shit you see on anti-social media. Look at me. No. I'm talking about true happiness, where you're where you have a happy marriage, where you have a happy, positive relationship with your children, where you have a great business that supports your lifestyle, where you're making a difference. And the second thing besides personal growth is contribution. If you're not having an impact some way, somehow in this world, whether it's locally, grassroots, whatever it is, then you have no chance to be happy. You have no chance to be happy. I've met people that are constantly growing. They're doing a great job. They're reading, they're walking, they're drinking water, they're listening to podcasts. They're getting better in a lot of areas. But here's the thing, and I worked on this a lot with my world builders. If they're not having an impact, if you're not helping your fellow man, then I'm sorry, that's the missing piece. You need both of those things. You need to be constantly growing. And number two, you need to be contributing to others. There is no way to happiness. So if you're unhappy, you have a miserable life, you're a miserable SOB, well, guess what? Personally, you're not growing. And number two, you're not serving others. So try those two things on for size. Start getting up and reading. Start getting up and walking. It can be 5 minutes. Read for 5 minutes. Walk for 5 minutes. Pray for 5 minutes. Write for 5 minutes in your journal. And then ask yourself, everything that you're doing in your life with your business, who can I help when I'm doing this? There wasn't a newsletter or a promotion we did in any of my businesses that I don't ask myself, well, we're doing this now, so we might as well help some other people. At the barber shop, we're helping kids that can't afford to play soccer. We're helping kids that can't afford to play t-ball, play t-ball. We're helping kids that can't afford to play hockey. We do haircuts for kids every back to school. Kids that can't afford, make sure we sponsor their free haircuts so they go back to school with a fresh beginning. Those kinds of things. In the insurance business, I was constantly connecting all my marketing to the food bank, to the animal shelter, to children's literacy, to the Rotary Club, to the Lions Club. And it's so easy to do. But I'll tell you right now, man to man, if you're not constantly growing, getting up and making yourself better every damn day, the first hour of the day, that's what it's so important, and having an impact, then you are never, ever going to be truly happy. So that's it. That's the opposite that a lot of these pretend gurus are going to say about, sitting on the beach and all that shit. I can sit out here for 5 hours like I did yesterday and read and sharpen the axe, but that's not happiness. As human beings, we're designed to grow. We're designed to get better, and we're designed to help other people. What's stopping you from coaching, consulting, volunteering? That's the secret, is those two things. So that's it today from Southwest Naples. I'm going to go spend a little bit of time with Emery, and then it's wheels up today, back to Canada at 12 noon. And like the great Kevin O'Leary says, happiness can't buy money. Money equals freedom. So think about that. Think about ways that you can design your business so that you get paid even when you're not working. Things that are evergreen, things that are continuity, things that renew, and go from there. And then really say to yourself, take inventory. If you're not happy, okay, and you're wondering why, well, what does your first hour of the day look like? Are you getting up and playing defense? Are you on your phone? Is it somebody else's agenda? Or are you out here walking, drinking water, praying, listening to your golden gut, writing, taking a few minutes to read every day? How are you getting better? I would like to know, how are you getting better? And when you're getting better, why the hell do you not share that journey with other people? Okay, a man never stands taller. A man never stands taller than when he kneels to help a child. Never, ever taller than when a man kneels to help a child. So get out there, constant and never-ending improvement, and making sure that you're making an impact. What is your mission? What is your mission? Why were you created? Why are you on this earth? Why are you breathing? What's the mission? What can you not talk about and make that your life's work and impact? That's it. If you don't have a copy of my book, you can get a copy at the link below, nobullbook.com. How to not get your ass kicked in business and in life. It's my 25 rules for living life and doing business on your own terms. Exactly what I just talked about. Money equals freedom. Money is the root of all good. And money can help you help other people, including your friends, your family, whoever. But it's a tough grind any other way. So that's it. If you'd like to apply for my upcoming 8-week world building program, you can do that at badassmillionaire.com/apply. That's it for today. 2 words that changed my life, 2 words that can change your life. Be relentless.